folks in Facebook land. At this time, we want to welcome you to our broadcast. This is focused on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sie, hosting today in this Wednesday edition of our show. We have a very, very, very important guest in studio today, in person of Representative Larry P. Younquoi. He is our guest. And you know he is a politician, and so we will talk some politics here, folks. So we are happy that you are joining us here. And like we always ask you, hit that share button, share the show with your contacts, share with your friends, share in all the platform that you have access to, so that a lot of people can have the opportunity to hear from the honorable representative. He is the representative for District Number 8, we understand, in Nimba County. We also understand that he is for the War and Economic Crime Court, and Mr. Brain Johnson doesn't want to hear that. So, but again, our topic is the role of the National Legislature in good governance in Liberia. Our guest, Honorable Larry Younquoi, is the chairperson on the House's Committee on Good Governance and Government Reforms. So he is the person to talk to when it comes to good governance in Liberia. He provides the oversight, or his committee provides the oversight responsibility when it comes to good governance. And folks, you know, when it comes to good governance, many donor countries try to look at the scorecard or the good governance scorecard of a country to determine whether or not they gave them some assistance. And we want to know uh, the work that they have been doing at the level of the national legislature. And so, folks, hit that share button. This will be a very informative discussion with the honorable man, Honorable Larry P. Younquoi. At this time, we will welcome our guest. Honorable Younquoi, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be part of this platform
Okay.
to contribute towards the nation building endeavor of our country by giving some information to our compatriots that are tuning in. I'm very honored to be here this afternoon.
Like you, we are very, very honored to have you. You play a very important role at the People's House, and we need to hear from you, especially on the issue of good governance. And so we are more than glad to have you. But before we get into the discussion for the day, we know that you represent the people of Nimba County in District Number 8.
Yes.
Not many people know that, but we are privileged to be the one sharing that. But the Honorable Man, Larry P. Younquoi, is not known by many people. So our question is, who is Larry P. Younquoi as a family man? Tell us, who are you, sir?
Thank you very much. Larry Younquoi hails from Nimba County. I represent currently District Number 8. I, those of you who do know where District Number 8 is the first district after Bon County when you cross the St. John Bridge,
Mhm,
and you it stops second to the last town before Gompa City,
mhm.
and then immediately after Gapta City, the second town. It begins from there and moves all the way to Saclay, but you first short of reaching Saclay by second to the last town known as Kanwi,
Right.
or on the right side along the St. John River bordering Bon County is District Number 8. It has such towns as Plain,
Mhm.
Bunande, Duo, Flompa, Kanwi, of course, the Cocopa Rubber Plantation.
Right.
And so Flompa happens to be one of the district headquarters, the administrative district headquarters, and it is my headquarters of nativity. So it is declared by default as the headquarters of District Number 8. Flompa is on the main road between Ganta and Saclay. So that's what I can say about the geography of District Number 8. When it comes to who Larry Younquoi is, I am a family man. I'm currently in the States with my wife. Uh, and then we I've been around for some time. I was a student political activist, served as vice president of also at the University of Liberia on the ticket of the Student Unification Party, graduated in 1986. And I went to Ghana where I obtained a master's degree in population studies. And I came to Liberia. I served both in the private and public sector, spending well over 21 years with the Minister of Planning, the then Minister of Planning and Economic Affairs, where I remained until I was elected to the House of Representatives. While I was at the Ministry of Planning, I was coordinating the Population Commission's Secretariat, working closely with the international community, mainly the United Nations Population Fund, an organization that also helped to, to send me on fellowship for my master's degree through the request of the government of Liberia in the late 80s.
Right.
Having gone at the legislature, we were pleased to be placed first as chairman on planning and economic affairs,
Mhm.
and of course as member of governance commission, I mean a committee. After the first 3 years, I assumed the chairmanship, and being a second term representative, I was privileged to be told by the appointing authority to continue with the chairmanship of the Governance and Government Reform Committee, a position that we currently hold. And of course, in doing that, you will not want to be somebody who will befriend many people because you are under obligation to ensure that there is good governance at all levels. So those are issues that whenever you want to live according to the dictate of your responsibility, you will not want to make friends with so many people. But we're very happy that we have had this opportunity to serve our people, and we are doing it the way we know best. So there are a lot of pitfalls and there are a lot of stumbling blocks, though. But the essence is to play our role and leave the rest with the code of public opinion. If you wanted to see certain things done, and then those are at the last shot don't give you the opportunity, obviously you know there will be some blockade. That's
Right.
what led to us establishing the Independent Legislative Caucus.
Okay.
I went in the House lately as a member of the Unity Party, and, uh, and so at the time we had wanted the Unity Party that had about 22 or 23 lawmakers, and the ruling party had 22. And so I felt that with almost equal strength, it was time to fight over the independence or the other lawmakers from other smaller parties.
Okay.
At least the legislature can be headed by the opposition. Unfortunately, our ruling party went and forged an alliance with the ruling party. Our own party went and forged an alliance with the ruling party and to share leadership for the ruling party to have the leadership of the House, quite to the consternation of some of us. That led us to uh, saying that we were going to be independent in as much as we were unity partisan, but in terms of dealing with national issues, we were going to be independent. And so that it will not be uh, once the, the team, the leadership team agrees, it goes. And then in so doing, there were other members of the legislature who felt that it was good to go that route. And then joined me, and then we organized the Independent Legislative Caucus. We have been serving as check and balance on the entire legislature, which is supposed to be serving as check and balance on the entire government machinery. And yeah, it's really been interesting. Initially, uh, bulk of the tenets of good governance were suppressed. The speaker, who is the first among equals, has the power to determine what comes on the floor. The bulk of the communication that should have engendered good governance, which should have brought about checks and balances in the running of government. Was
All right, Honorable, leave it right there. We'll get to the legislative politics a little bit. Very, very detailed introduction of yourself, your roles and the positions that you are holding. We are happy that you were able to help to form the independent legislative caucus, as a way of holding the current administration accountable. Thank you for doing that. In politics, there might be different views on the issue, so I think that is a good thing. So let's come to the discussion here. We want to start with your constituency, the place you represent or your constituents, the people that you represent. We want to know how your constituency doing, how your people doing.
Well, we are doing great. We are doing great. I'm in contact with them on a daily basis,
Hmm.
even though I'm currently in the States. I had come for 1 month, and since the 6th of March, and then unfortunately, this global pandemic came, which has led to us being stranded here and doing what we could have done if we were home, remaining home, staying away from crowd and the rest of it. But I'm in contact. Thus far, my district has not uh, reported any incidents of a coronavirus infection.
Okay.
My district is principally an agricultural district, so
Okay.
our people are carrying on their normal activities. You know, farming does not call for congregation. Even if you are doing it in a traditional cool system, when you go on a farm, you all send your own separate distance to work. So I think the chances of contamination is very less. But when it comes to the district itself, we ran a campaign on the basis of adequate representation and systematic development. So we didn't tell our people we were going to reinvent the wheel. Instead, we were going to work with them to continue what they are doing.
Hmm.
While on a larger scale, we work at the level of the national legislature to make sure they have a piece of the national cake in terms of national development. Currently, the district tends to gain from national development through the social development funds. We are having come from Sanakole from county city, where the district has some money uh, through what we call affected community, which is that those groups of communities that are along the operation of the mining entity known as ArcelorMittal from
Hmm.
Younquoi all the way to Buchanan. A portion in Liberia, that a number that has to do with the Nimba County Social Development Fund. My district has two administrative districts that are benefiting: the Liwepi, which comprises Ghana and where I come from, and then the one in Mempima, which has Lao and coming towards the border with Bon County. And those communities have some money within the social development funds. And then the 80% that remain to were distributed in a way as a state, projects have been approved to be undertaken in such localities as Plumpa headquarters, for example. There will be a district commissioner construction going on, compound construction. There will be market construction in Kanwis, which is in the Snow. That's a few miles away from Sakeke. And then you have in the Lao Chiefdom, you got Parama Chief compound to be constructed at the TIA headquarters that have been designated. Goes by to Bana. You have Puapa to receive uh, construction of a town hall. These are projects that having come from county city in Sanakole, each lawmaker was told to go to his district to also have district sitting and in the full purview of the assistant development for fiscal affairs as well as assistant development for development and
All right.
assistant superintendent for development. So these projects are identified and cataloged and then made into one uh, procurement plan and presented to the PPC in Monrovia, the Public Procurement and Concession Commission, in conjunction with the Internal Affairs Ministry. Once those are approved, and then the country is told to find vendors, if it is contract, if a construction, if it is service, the delivery of goods and services, whatever it is, then the tender will take place, and then whoever is the successful one will go and carry on the construction,
Thank you.
or on our own supervision. And so this is basically what we can say. In addition to what comes from government, as I have stated,
No.
people in line with my systematic development platform, we are where we are people to construct schools, construct clinics, rehabilitate roads, even build roads where road didn't exist. So again, I as a technocrat in government, I do not measure my success by the number of physical infrastructure I undertake. I measure my success in the manner in which I have impacted national discourse in terms of shaping public policy, which is the main work of the national legislature. So
Thank
that's
you.
where we want to emphasize. Yes, thank you very much.
All right. And thank you. Thank you. Right there again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. We have in studio as our guest Honorable Larry P. Younquoi, and we are discussing the role of the National Legislature in good governance. Earlier, he was talking about his district and all that is going on there in terms of development. But Honorable, just for the sake of our listening audience, including myself, who really don't have a unique understanding of your roles and responsibility as a lawmaker, educate us. As a lawmaker, share with us your roles and responsibilities.
Well, thank you very much. The role of the legislature in the Republic of Liberia is enshrined in Article 29 to Article 49 of our Constitution,
Mhm.
actually under Chapter 5 of our Constitution. I, it's actually the bulwark of the government. The legislature, that's why people have referred to it as the first
Yeah,
branch of government
and
because the
my audience are saying you should raise your voice a little bit. They can hear you, but you're too low. Yeah.
yes, the the legislature is actually the branch of government around which the running of government hinges
Mhm.
because it has a very Herculean task. If you were to go in chapter 5, article from 29 to 49,
Yeah.
you will know that the legislature has almost all the major works to do, including um, the including the creation of the army. Uh, it's one that declares war, and it is the one that mints coins. It is the one that make decision on revenues. I mean, even international relations when it comes to protocols and and uh, and laws and other agreements that have been entered into by the chief executive at the level of the international community, is the legislature that ratifies it. And of course, the president can declare emergency, for example, but it's the legislature that has to give blessing to it before it goes on. It levies taxes, and so all the functions of the legislature are mainly intended to engender good governance. For example, no money should be drawn from the treasury unless it is appropriated by the legislature. For example, the $25 million that was taken by the executive to carry on the mop up exercise, I still want to believe that it did not meet the criteria of good governance because I don't know whether it was appropriated in previous fiscal budget, that there will be a time that we will take 25 million from our reserve to mop up excess liquidity, or it was just done because, like I said, it was not easy when we started newly, and that money was taken when we had just started. At the time, we were still fighting to find our own bearings. Frustration was there. Whenever you brought communication to ask this kind of question, it would never surface on the floor. And so, the issue of taxation, the issue of excise tax, whether it is tax on import and export, a law that you're supposed to make to establish courts, and you have to create boundaries. Countries that want to break up into two or three, or people who want to create extra districts, these are the responsibility of the legislature. Of course, the president heading the executive branch has the right to sign those pieces of legislation into law, but it has limits. The president has to do so in 20 days, or else it will become law in totality. And if the president has to veto, the legislature can override the veto by two-thirds of members of the both houses. The legislature is supposed to be coming up with impeachment law, rules and procedure in line with between those the articles I talk about on 29 to 49. But as it stands in Liberia, we do not have rules and procedure for impeachment, even though we have carried out one in recent time, which is debatable. We have not passed it yet. The legislature is supposed to even pass law to clearly define what it is to say when somebody is incapacitated to hold office. As it stands, even if a president is paralyzed, you cannot say the person has become incapacitated because there is no law. The Constitution says the president can be replaced when that person is incapable. So who defines the incapability? The Constitution tells the legislature to do. We haven't done it yet. The Constitution told us to establish commissions. We have established only the election and the GA, the General Auditing Commission. We haven't established in totality the Civil Service Commission. We were about to do it some time ago when we went for a break. So these are so many things that we need to do. In short, it is the legislature that's supposed to serve as the doyen of good governance. The judiciary is start to interpreting the laws that we make. They will never come at you if there is no issue coming out. So those who feel that the other person has gone against their rights are the ones that go to the judiciary. The executive is there to implement. In the process of implementing, sometimes she wants to, as librarian who normally say, want to follow play, and she
All
wants to
right.
extend into the work of the legislature. And one classic example is the 25 million. It was never appropriated, and so many
And
arbitrary appropriations
and
have taken place by the current finance minister,
right,
and sometimes he has been brought before the Senate and the House. And I need to apologize. For example, during the harmonization that went
right.
on, the president started, the executive started cutting money from our people before we even passed into law. So these are areas, and for example, it's not all rosy. Our rule has not been real rosy because of the dominance of the executive. And it's all because of the quality of people that are supposed to be, people that go to the legislature are supposed to be the ones to
Uh,
hold the
Honorable Younquoi,
country in check. Yeah,
and
so this is it. So this is
that
it.
is what I was coming to. So if I may, your role, we hear people saying the role of the national legislature is oversight, oversight, oversight. I know in Article 29 all the way to 49, you were
Mm.
trying to make us to understand that there are so many responsibilities, but people try to kind of sum up your responsibility as oversight, lawmaking, and check and balance. And but let's come to good governance. And you were talking about the $25 million, how it did not meet the good governance process because it was never appropriated by you, the lawmakers, and it was expended anyway. So our first question here, before we get into the back and forth question, is what is good governance and how is it different from bad governance?
Well, good governance itself is the process or a manner,
Hmm.
is the manner or action of
Hmm.
governing people, of carry on leadership.
Okay.
So governance itself. So of course we know bad, which is the opposite of good.
Hmm.
So good governance is the manner and action of carry on leadership by carry on all the tenets as enshrined in the rule governing that entity. In the case, the constitution. Any governance that is carried out in line with the laid down rules as enshrined in the constitution or statute. Because the constitution empowers the legislature to come up with as many laws as possible.
Okay.
So the laws that are governing the country are upkept by those in leadership.
Hmm.
And even at local level or in private sector, the rules that are there, those that are in leadership, if they are carrying it, or the leadership in line with their established rules, then you have good governance. So ours is to ensure that the constitution is carried to the letter.
And
That's why most of the time laws that are passed, like you
mhm,
want to create entities, you want to create government, you want to restructure government, we work with the Judicial Committee and the Ways and Means Committee to make sure that those acts are vetted. Because if you want to create certain laws that are in disagreement with existing laws, you will have duplication, and that is not good for good governance. And so we also like before you come in, we know that you cannot do good governance, you cannot do planning without data. For example, Article uh, 43 of the Constitution talks about uh, Article 39 of the Constitution talk about the legislature shall cause census to be undertaken every 10 years. In line with my good governance duty, when it became obvious in 2018 that we will not hold our census in 2018, which was the 10th year after the last census, I was able to blow the alarm, and the legislature was able to take appropriate action along with the executive to come up with a joint resolution to postpone it to 2019, which could not go on until this few time we had to postpone it again to 2021 because you need data that will inform your planning. That's part of good governance. We have worked with the executive. Most of the laws they brought when it comes to the Local Government Act, which is talk about decentralization, when it comes to Domestic Violence Act, when it comes to laws that, I mean, even the entire constitutional review process where was headed by the Good Governance Commission. So most of the prepositions, like the citizenship, uh, whatever you want to call it, all
develop,
of them are something that the Good Governance Commission, the committee has a role to play in them.
eh,
We don't agree with everything that is there, even the issue of the war crime.
right.
We're doing it without malice to anybody. We are doing it in line with our duties. Because if we want the government to move on smoothly, but the right of everybody be respected, then there must be an opportunity for people to have some redress
Yeah,
to
and
whatever
Honorable
law
Younquoi,
violations.
Quickly, I know you cited the $25 million issue as another example of bad governance, if I can paraphrase you. Are there other examples of bad governance, and are there also good examples of good governance you want to share with my audience?
Well, uh, you will know that I don't know of any government in recent time in our country that has so many uh, controversies
Okay.
than the government that I'm currently serving in. And so, for example, the current shutdown experience that is going on in the initial stage, you knew the amount of battering of the citizens, the beating of the citizens. Uh, that was not an example of good governance. If the legislature should have thrown the line, whether there was a curfew or this was just a stay-home exercise, but while the legislature was even waiting to pass on it, it was being implemented in such brutal form. This is just one example. People say why the legislature went and approved of the SOE. If they had not done it, they probably would have turned against the legislature. The president has 7 days to prepare a document to put it before the legislature, but the legislature has only 3 days to act. And so when they took the action to approve it in principle and work the details out after the presentation of what the president actually made when it comes to the financial issue, then people say, why was it approved? And I believe that the legislature I put them because we didn't want to create. So you are a participant of the Liberian government. I'm part of the government, so I'm not going to sit down here and start elucidating all the places where the government has fallen short of good governance. But I think we are really at the top when it comes to some of the, for example, the money that are intended for the development of each of the countries in line with the concession or agreement that we normally sign, the social development funds. Previous and current government have found it difficult to remit those monies to the country, and which has led to confusion. Seriously. Like
And
Nimba County, where I come from, more than $5 million with the central government that the company has given. But yes, in Amjo County has similar uh, situation, Bassa, Monserrado, any of these countries, because in Liberia nowadays, only Lofa country does not have social development fund because it does not have a company. But
And
all the other 14 countries
when
have
it
some
comes,
form of concession.
yeah, when it comes to the issue of the social development funds, follow down when we get to the section where we'll be reviewing the characteristics of good governance. We will talk on those things. All those things you raise, I will come to them. I just want us to get a unique understanding of your role as a committee or member of the committee on good governance. All these things you just talked about recently, 25 million data, even the SOE, the stimulus package. Your committee role is to ensure that anything that goes through the national legislature is in line with good governance so that the people can benefit. In your opinion, what is your role as a committee, your roles and responsibility, all right, in terms of good governance in Liberia? What are you supposed to be doing as a committee to ensure good governance?
Well, I like you said, we have the role of oversight and we have the role of lawmaking
Yeah,
and
and
of course
is there a way you can
representation.
increase the volume of your phone? My audience are still saying Honorable Younquoi is still low. So if your phone, go to
Okay.
it and increase the volume.
Okay.
Yeah, increase the volume of the phone.
Okay.
Again, folks in cyberspace, you are
Hello.
watching Focus on
Hello.
Liberia. Yeah, it's better now. Increase it all the way to the end.
It's
You are
okay.
watching. Yeah, it's okay. You are watching Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony C. hosting, and this is Wednesday Special. And our guest is the Honorable Larry P. Younquoi. Honorable, I'm in trouble here with my audience. I know that a lot of people know you. They say I'm pronouncing your name wrong, so I think I got it right now. It's Younquoi, not Nyankwe. Yeah. So you were explaining earlier. You were explaining earlier about your role as
like
a committee on
like
good governance. Yeah.
yeah, my role had compelled me to come up with a number of laws. For example,
Hmm.
to get rid of the arbitrary use of the social development fund by central government,
Okay.
quite to the consternation of the designated beneficiaries.
Hmm.
I just recently introduced a law known as the stand-alone law,
Okay.
which was like an amendment of Chapter 10 of the budget law to take that one out and let it stand by itself, meaning that once money is available for county A, B, C by a concession company, that money should pass through the government, uh, uh, just through the government process for recording process and goes into the account of of the country that's supposed to benefit from it.
Right.
In that case, the central government has no right, no access to it. It was unanimously passed on the floor of the House of Representatives before the Senate now for concurrence. Or I'm sure that is also in that case, a
Hmm.
good governance is not to deprive other sectors of the
Hmm.
country. Then we're trying to meet that other objective. Good governance, as I said, when it comes to violence against women, against children, bulk of the laws that have been introduced through the gender ministry, we are working with the legislative caucus, the women legislative caucus. We are working with the relevant committees to ensure that those laws are passed. When it comes to, for example, the over centralization of power at the level of the central government,
Right.
we were able to work with the Governance Commission to pass the law on local government, which is decentralization, which except for the Ministry of Defense and Foreign Affairs and Finance, all other uh, ministry, the activities will be decentralized. And there you will have even portion of the revenues generated on an annual basis remaining in the countries in which it is generated to take part in development, like the one you have in America here. You got the state, responsibility. You got the city responsibility, and you have the federal responsibility.
Right.
Though we're not creating federal state,
Right.
but in our new military setting, we still want to make sure some decentralization, some of the power, the economic power, are diverged to the local authority. We stand in a gap to represent our people by making sure those kind of laws that are very important to the enhancement of democracy are passed. And so these are just some of the examples I can cite. Besides that, whenever arbitrariness takes place, we cite those people to appear before us to tell us why they cannot be here in contempt, or why they cannot be here into higher responsibility than just mere contempt. So just uh, those are the areas. But again, like I started saying earlier, we still have a lot to achieve because these things can be done best when even the leadership of the of the legislature is aware that it is a responsibility. But where they are to protect the interests of the executive, sometimes it's very difficult to have these things implemented. There where you see the confusion coming and leading to the creation of these funny independent groups and this other caucus and that other caucus because that's the only way you can do. And most of the time, whenever we know our views are not being heard, then we call press conferences, and those that don't know how to do it, the other way around, who have their own way of doing it. That's how I see they carry on podcast every now and then, blasting the status quo and rest of it. But
Right.
uh, you can still do that if you don't go to put paper, put pen, and institutionalize what you want to see do. You will still have the problem persisting. And that's why we are trying to come up with a lot of laws. For example, when I came up with a law that the president should form his government within the first 90 days. Because there are some people who leave certain positions vacant, while some people are still in diaspora in junior class at the university to graduate so they can go occupy that position. And some people act in a position for more than 90 days. And so we believe that if you are forming government, you must do it in 90 days and
90
make sure
days.
all available positions are occupied. So these are the kind of things that we'll be trying to do to make sure that the sanctity of government is maintained. And we hope we will do more. And with time, even if we don't do it, I think we are preparing for posterity. Our children and grandchildren will have good place to exercise good governance. But for us, we will fight to lay the foundation, and that's what we are trying to do.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony C. hosting. Our guest is the Honorable Larry P. Younquoi, and we are discussing the role of the legislature in good governance. He is the chairperson on the House's Committee on Good Governance and Government Reforms. Honorable, now let's assess how our country is doing in terms of good governance. And to measure that or assess that, we have 8 categories or 8 characteristics of good governance. And we will use
Mhm.
these characteristics to see how we're doing. All of the issues you raised earlier about the county development fund, how it should be implemented, who should be doing this, and what should be the limitation of this other person, who all should be involved. Now we are coming to that, and those who are watching here in Facebook land, also yeah, focus on Liberia. This is the interactive section of our broadcast. So, Honorable, in order for good governance to be realized in any democracy, one of the characteristics that we research and identify is it must be participatory. All right, and it
Mhm.
must also be consensus oriented. So at the level of the legislature and at the level of the counties. So let's go there on that basis. It must be participatory, it must be consensus oriented. Now, as a lawmaking body, how do you build consensus? How do you participate in order to achieve good governance in Liberia?
Oh, well, it's since you know the governance of countries are tied around the use of their resources.
Hmm.
So we have ensured that good governance is actually accentuated in the area of using the state resources.
Okay.
So that's why in Chapter 10 of the national budget, it's clearly stated as to how monies that go to the countries are used. You have to, the processes are spelled out. For
Hmm.
example, if NIMBA has 1.5 million plus selling of scrap and other things that they're supposed to have, if at the end of the day they have about $2 million to distribute among the districts, there must be a county sitting prescribed in Chapter 10 of the budget law. And that county sitting is populated by people that are selected by the county administration
Right.
uh, upon the approval of the legislative caucus. The administration will ask the caucus that I want to convene a county sitting so that we can distribute what is available in the budget for us. And to enhance participation, the legislature will tell him, okay, you can select from the youth, the women, the city council, the administrative uh, commi- uh, commission, the paramount chief, control area. These categories of people you must have your delegate derived from there, and then they convene a county sitting, and then they come up with what they want to see and reduce into resolution, which members, participants will sign. That's one way of ensuring participation in the distribution of wealth among the various locales within a given political subdivision, as far as the national resources are concerned. And so you see the legislature is participating by giving green light,
Okay.
the administration is participating, then the local people are doing it. But it gets frustrated when they come to implementation, then the resources that stipulation had taken place again cannot be found because they are being used by central government for priorities. But again, budget is law, and those social development funds are captured in the budget law. And any attempt for money to be used without it being appropriated is against good governance. And so this is what our government has been going through for the past several years, starting from Ellen term up to now. And so participation is spelled out in chapter 10 of our constitution, I mean our budget law,
Mhm.
which talks about county sitting. And the county sitting people are derived from uh, representative groups uh, as much as possible so that they can go and attend a decision is a decision of the county. But they have not really had the benefit of their participation because uh, Liberia has been going through a lot of problems. So whenever there is money to be used, they rather use it for urgent purpose best known to the executive, leaving the countries wanting. This is basically where we have had problem with our participation. But the blueprint is there. They are very good. If we were to go by it, I think we solve most of the problems that we are facing today. But we are
All
finding
right.
difficult implementing it because of
The
availability.
blueprint is dead. The difficulty is
Yeah,
going by the
implementation.
blueprint and the implementation. Our common knowledge
Like
here is
recently, we
that,
talk about participation.
yeah, I'm coming to, we stay on participation. Again, folks who are watching us here, there are 8 characteristics of good governance. They are participatory, consensus building, accountability or being accountable. It must be transparent. It must be responsive. It must be efficient. It must be equitable and inclusive. And it must follow the rule of law. Those are the 8 characteristics of good governance. And right now, we are discussing participatory and consensus building. I remember what I was about to say earlier that the conventional wisdom here is you as lawmaker, your role is to appropriate, to lobby for
Mm.
your county for a particular amount for development in the case of the social development funds for the counties. Now, when you shall have done that, your primary role is more than complete. It is the county officials who fall honor directly who fall directly under the executive that have the statutory responsibility to implement. Why you provide oversight? You ask question, how has the project gone? But you've been accused, you lawmaker have been accused that you are too much involved into the implementation aspect of it. Is there any truth to that? Maybe not in your case or in the cases of other people. And does that meet good governance?
Well, thank you very much.
Hmm.
Accusation has two sides, man.
Yeah.
Or you accuse, the accuser is having all the onus to 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 prove his or her case beyond all reasonable doubt. These
Okay.
are the accusations. We've heard them.
Hmm.
We've heard them. But the position of lawmaker is the most hated in our society. That's why sometimes we take our own time to clarify situations. But we have heard that before. But the caucus that I belong to uh, has not found a common place to interfere in it. Yeah, we put our feet down
Mhm.
to ensure that the executive does its job.
Okay.
So, for example, there was an instance in in our country
Right.
that the development superintendent took the chairman of our caucus to task when the chairman went and gave contract to a businessman in our country to carry on the renovation of the county fee.
Okay.
The county fee was part of the preliminary of the county, very, very big fee. The development superintendent, a young, energetic student activist, Igo Yole, at the time felt that the caucus was overstepping its bound by telling we only need to approve the funds in
Right.
line with the budget law.
Mhm.
But it was found that the caucus chair and some people went and gave and awarded the contract. And of course, the issue were raised, and it was not easy. But I think from that experience, we have learned our lesson. Of course, in any human setting, there are people who want to overplay their role.
Right.
But if they are if been done, it's unfortunate, but it is not what should be done. And so, under the law, we are not supposed to get ourselves involved. We need to provide oversight. For example, if you want to construct a town hall, a business, or a superintendent compound in my territory district or in my administrative district,
Right.
I only need a BOQ in line with because you cannot provide oversight without information.
Right.
So tell me the BOQ. If the BOQ says the board of quantity says that you're going to use 6-inch blocks for the superstructure and 8-inch blocks for the foundation,
Mhm.
when you are starting a building, I need to come and check whether you are using the specification as in line with the BOQ. If they say you will use 28 gauge zinc, I need to know whether you are not using 48 gauge. That's what supervision is about.
That's
And if it's not
supervision,
being done,
that's oversight, and that is participatory.
oversight.
But in your
Yeah,
line,
but if
you are in your line.
exactly, but
Okay.
if I go and say, give me the money, let me spend it, who is going to check on me? So this is the situation. So with that land room,
Mhm.
all we need to do is to make sure that everybody lives in line with in line with the stipulation.
But
Otherwise,
honorable,
that
you are
not
aware
problem.
that this stepping over bound of legislature has been a normal practice or became a normal practice for some time now. So are you trying to tell me that a good number of you have gotten that understanding that doing so it is wrong and it's not in line with good governance?
Where people have misunderstood the role of the legislature.
Hmm.
What is happening is that we represent our people in national government,
Okay.
and it goes at the level of the country. If we go to Sanakole, for example, in case of Nimba, and there is $2 million to be shared, a lot make us sense of it. Let's put $50,000 across each of the 9 districts, and then the rest goes towards the other ones. You take education, you take health. Maybe in that argument, in trying to come up with what needs to be done, that's the one the executive feels that we interfering. But it's our role to provide oversight during the deliberation. But
And, and
again,
and you think that falls
we
under
all are still,
appropriation?
no, it's just about advocacy and representation of
Oh,
our people at that level.
okay.
What is agreed upon
Hmm.
when it comes to implementation, it is the executive. Normally, when they are even running their base rounds, we don't know which contractors they are selecting. Again, I'm not yet to vouch for everybody. There are some lawmakers that go and create their own companies to impose them on the county administration to allow them to carry on certain, implementation,
And you think
which
that
is
is
wrong.
completely wrong, right?
It's wrong. That's conflict of interest. And so this is it. It has come out on many occasions. Some of us in politics are pure politicians, period.
Hmm.
But you can't be both businessman and politician. You
That's true.
always be caught. And that's why one apple has spoiled the whole basket of apples. But those who blow alarm on these things, they are good, but you can't generalize that to be what the entire legislature is doing. But it is actually true that some of us have been found wanting in these areas, but that's not what should be done.
And
So
and
that's
talking
again,
about talking about good governance still. on the issue of accountability and transparency. Let's move to that, segment. You talked earlier about projects that you are involved with going on within your district.
Yeah.
If you are involved into project, does it mean that you are the one who raised the funds and implementing this project? And if that is the case, as a lawmaker, is that your role to build roads or to build schools? I mean, many lawmakers do these things, and they even build market structure and they put their name on it. Is that the role of a lawmaker to build, these institutions or structures and put their names on it? That's your role?
Well, I don't think you are probably if the lawmaker were to put his hand
Hmm.
in his pocket
Right.
to construct
Hmm.
uh, infrastructure for his people,
Hmm.
so long it's not coming from government coffers.
Hmm.
What he needs to do is to provoke the issue of participation
Hmm.
so that there can be ownership. Uh, that is not the role of the lawmaker, though. But as a politician, you dare not stand and say there is no my role. You become unpopular right away. So if you have the hand to do it, you do it. But in so doing, there are structures. For some of us who said we were coming to carry on what we call continuation of what the people are doing in terms of adequate representation and systematic development. Each of our towns have development structures. Each of the clans have development structures. You go and say, look, we need to construct town hall for this town. We will sponsor it from our pockets, but you come up with these development structures here. They will bring it and say, well, this is the chair, the co-chair, this is this. Then you carry on whatever you want to do. That's a different thing. But when there is money appropriated from the national level to the county level to your district level, you are not, as a lawmaker, directly involved. The superintendent office will award a contract, and the citizens will be told to provide do it.
Good.
If they cannot do it, the county administration is responsible to provide supervision as to the implementation, and you, as a lawmaker, your office. That's why we have offices in the country, in the district, to make sure they provide oversight while we are in Monrovia carrying on national duty. So it's actually not our responsibility to implement projects that are implemented by the government, whether
So,
through the country or not.
I,
But you will not want to tell me that if the government of Liberia built a school those days and the school needs expansion and government does not have money for expansion, if you as a lawmaker can afford to get money from your pocket to help, you are wrong. No, all you need to do is consult the land ministry. If you want to build clinic, consult the land ministry. I understand the health ministry has this clinic, but the clinic has outlived its space. I want to expand it by building an annex. Some
Hon-
of the blue
Honorable
in that
Younquoi,
case,
may
you
I
are not.
interject? And you spoke earlier about conflict of interest,
Yeah.
where a lawmaker may put a complaint together
Mhm.
to implement a government project
Yeah.
when the complaint is for him. You said that.
Mhm.
But now
Yeah.
you are saying, I, as a politician, though I represent my people, though
Mhm.
that is not part of my statutory role
Mhm.
to build structure for my people, but I'm a politician. If I don't do it, my people will not feel any impact. So,
Mhm.
when do we get to tell our people the roles and responsibility of the lawmakers and the limitation thereof? Because some of you get yourself into trouble by wanting to impress your people. You clearly pointed us to your roles and responsibility, main coins, oversight, or declare war, approve resolution. These are your roles in the Constitution. There is nowhere it said the lawmaker must build house, must build road, and you are getting yourself into that. And it is, in my opinion, another way of corrupting the very political process. Because if you have to build something to impress on your people and I don't have it, I try to find another means. So I don't know, where do we draw the line? Your role should be your
Well,
role,
it's
and not get involved into things that are not your statutory responsibility.
it's easier said than done.
Okay.
I think advanced democracies like what we have in America and England.
Hmm.
Since I came here, for example,
Hmm.
I I've been here for close to 2 months, and the epicenter of this whole crisis. I've never heard one senator or representative says I'm going to carry on with the construction of hand washing area, or I'm donating
Or carry bucket and put my picture on it.
space or food to people that have been told to stay home. That is the level at which the democracy has matured.
Hmm.
And so you are right.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you went and you are leading a constituency
Right.
that government is responsible for providing education,
Mhm.
and you are passing by elementary schools that do not have enough space, where you have third and second grade sitting in one class, the other one, uh, fourth and fifth grade sitting one place in one
Right.
class, and you know that education is not really being dispensed in line with what should be done, and all is happening because of lack of space. And you say, well, it's not my responsibility to work with my community to be an annex, even though there is no budgetary allotment for it, but you want to find money from your pocket to do it. And you say when you do so, that means you are polluting the system. That's why some of us coming in government as technician and political student as that, we say we're not going to reinvent the wheel. I am not going to go to a community where the people actually need annex for a school and I say I want to be a guest house. What they need annex for school, which is based on what they have seen as the need of the community, I'm going to join them to do it. So most of the time, the so-called intervention that we make is in line with what we call manifest necessity. The manifest necessity has already been identified by the community. They are already doing something about trying to assuage that problem, and you're just going to provide helping hand. And obviously, as a politician, you are doing it so that you can remain in good with your people. The needs are actually there. So maybe it's not in advanced democracies like here, where the resources are allocated by the system and the lawmaker is only there to provide oversight. So it's easy to the extent that when they say you took $5,000 and get to a community to carry on construction, maybe it will go against you. But in our area, the needs are more than the ability of government to do it. And what I'm trying to avoid is to make sure to put projects that I'm avoiding putting projects that are not needed by the people. They will end up being ivory tower projects. They will leave it there and start going to places where they can do best. But if they were already doing it and you join them to do it, it will
Hmm.
even be utilized before it's completed. So
Thank
the
you.
issue of conflict of interest, I don't see it. You
All
are
right.
working with your people.
All
As
right.
long as you are not taking their resources to do it, I don't see this. That's the unknown role of the lawmaker. That's the full role of the lawmaker. So engage in community development is not part of it, but that's the major thing that consumes our time. Even though I don't measure the success of my legislative sojourn by the number of construction I do, but that's a very important aspect. Otherwise than that, you lose contact with your people within a twinkle of an eye.
All
Be rest
right.
assured.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. Our guest is the Honorable Larry P. Younquoi. Let continue on. Accountability is key. In Liberia, we all agree the devil in the room has always been corruption. And on this one, we will play a little bit of legislative politics here, and something that you are aware of. In order for you to call an official of government against whom a question of transparency is raised, the speaker uh, must agree.
Mhm.
And in legislative politics, my understanding is that if the speaker said this person is not coming to answer question, you're just making noise. Is that one of the reasons why Many of the officials of government um, who were indicted in audit reports have not been able to face questioning by you, the honorable body, for them to show reason why, either they shouldn't be held in contempt or be prosecuted based on allegation made.
Oh, well, not only audit report.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's the more reason why, or it's a attributing factor to reason why most of the time government officials, especially on the executive, which should have been facing inquiry from the legislature, have not been able to do so. And not only audit report, because we have a committee on public accounts
Right.
that normally invite agencies and ministries that that are held culpable by the audit report, and
Mhm.
that account that committee is responsible for dealing with their own issue. So this is what I say about you. What do you say? It will be a report that will be forwarded to the Justice Ministry in year
Mhm.
because the governance, the auditing commission is under the Liberian, is under the legislature.
Mhm.
But otherwise than that, there have been a lot of instances that we have wanted to see the head of agencies of government appear before the legislature, and it hasn't been done because of the protection they have received from the presiding officer of the House of Representatives. You are right. In the case of the $16 billion, when it came about, there were a lot of communications on the floor for people to appear. It was not easy. Uh, and at the end of the day, we ended up what we had. When the issue of the 25 billion came about, even when gasoline shortage hit the country recently, there are so many times that when we want to stand for the agencies of government responsible to get clarification in line with our oversight, we usually hit rock bottom because of the impervious nature of the leadership in its attempt to protect the status quo. We believe that should not be the case. It helps to erode the importance of the legislature. And so I think that led to a lot of misunderstanding. You can rest assured it hasn't been easy. That led to some of the things. It led to some of us even meeting the president. The independent electoral caucus were able to meet the president, and I met a minister of state. They wanted to know what was happening, and I said, "This is it. It's not about personal gain. It's simply about allowing us to do our job. The majority have their day. The minority must have their say. Let them be heard. Let their communications be heard on the floor. It's then with the public to know whether people are fighting for them. But if it's suppressed, they will generally say that we are not doing something about them. So this is it. And I think prior to us going to uh, where we were prior to my departure, I think things loosening up a little bit. They were allowing communications from all sides of the legislature, and a lot of appearances were being done. But in the past, it was very difficult. And of course, that has, in a way, contributed to bad governance, lack of transparency, and corruption. Because once he can be held liable or he can be cited, he's protected by the status quo. He will go and do what he wants to do, and it's not good for our economy. The good thing about it is that by the time we go ahead, the very thing that we wanted to see done on our floor, all of us will be exposed, and then there's no way for us to say where we didn't know. And so, because of that, we always point to it as an example. I say, look, if this thing we do not act now, and when it happens tomorrow, either the IMF or whoever intervenes, it will come back to us. Let's play our role.
Let's play our role.
So you are right. That
Eh,
has contributed immensely to condoning a lot of things that should not have been done. And
yeah, and,
is it the way we want it to be? No, it can be done better.
and honorable, because there have been a lot of reports, there have been a lot of noise about corruption, and the public have wished to see their direct representatives asking questions that they have had on those issues. You talk about the gasoline shortage that racked the country for weeks. We wanted to have seen, our lawmaker questioning these officials who were responsible for that blunder. 25 million. We wanted to have seen Samuel 12 and members of the economic management team answering questions from our lawmakers. And so on with her about the National Housing Authority reported corruption scandal. And we didn't get to see our lawmakers asking as much questions as we would have loved them to, or because the leadership of the that branch of government is in cahoot with the president. I will confidently put it that way. Again, folks, in cyberspace, before I come to my guest, there's a phone number on the screen that you can call. You look right there on the screen. That number is 605 313 6004, and then you enter the code 719403 #. When you do that, you will have the opportunity to talk to my guest, the Honorable Larry P. Younquoi, and we are discussing the role of the National Legislature in good governance. He is the chairman on good governance in the House of Representatives and also government reform. We are now on the segment, the 8 characteristics of good governance. We are using the characteristics to assess how good governance is going so far in our country. Again, participatory, consensus-oriented, accountability, transparency, responsive and efficient, equitable and inclusive, and to have good governance, it must follow the rule of law. I am waiting for your calls so that you can have the opportunity to ask a question or participate in the conversation. Let me get back to you, Honorable. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the rule of law. And I believe when it comes to the rule of law, you stand for the scrupulous implementation of the War and Economic Crime Court. But your senator, Prince Johnson, does not want to see that come to pass. How equivocal can you be, and how testy are you for justice in Liberia in order to achieve the good governance that we all want?
Well, thank you very much. My support for the scrupulous implementation of the TRC report is in line with my role as a chairman on good governance, and is in line with my adherence to the law of the land. The TRC is a law. The TRC was established by law, and it stated that the report should be implemented by the executive and reported to the legislature every quarter. And so, who wants law to be made in Liberia and it's not implemented? And I want the clarification to be made that it's not about whether my senator is involved or not. There are more than 150 persons that are supposed to face the court. There are so many persons, some of them supposed to go through lustration that should have been stopped from occupying position for 25 years. And the only reason why it could not take effect against Madam President was that she went to court and they said that, well, the report is not the ruling of the court. So therefore, you cannot use it to stop other people's constitutional rights. So this is the opportunity now for them to go ahead and generate themselves so that when they should have gone through the court process, the issue of lustration can take place. And so to see people say they cannot go because they fought for a cause, it's not to us, it is the court that can determine whether the cause you fought for is good or not. And of course, indictment is not is not is not is not when you are indicted, it does not mean you are being convicted. It's not conviction. So coming to make statement that will look that you are forcing with the system, it's not good. So to me, that's basically where I stand. It's not with any particular thing in mind. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm hearing you. You're loud and
So
clear.
because you know that I was covered by the PUM, but whatever the case, my advocacy goes beyond an individual. The senator just happens to be my senator,
Hmm.
and he happens to be a senior member of our leadership in the country. And so it looks like he has arrogated onto himself to be the spokesperson for all the alleged war crime suspects. But unfortunately, it has now become like when you talk about it, it's a taboo. Otherwise than that, it goes beyond that. There are so many persons that are involved in the process that are quiet. Some of them are in almost privileged position as he is, but yet they chose not to speak because it's an opportunity for them to go and clear their side. And so to me, I believe that if you want to have a society that believes in rule of law,
Hmm.
you want actual peace, it is when there is no sector that feels that it has not been heard. And that's the opportunity for us to achieve that feat. So to me, that's why I believe that war crime code, economic crime code, I think is a necessary condition for the consolidation of our democracy.
And I have a caller on the line. Before I bring my caller in, stay on the 8 characteristics of good governance that we are looking at to assess how our country is doing in terms of good governance. One is to be responsive and efficient. In your own assessment, is the legislature as a brand of government responsive to the needs of the people and efficient as well as the legislature? I mean, the executive and then the judicial branch of government. Do we have responsible government or responsive government, if you like, in Liberia?
Well, the the government, especially the legislature, has what it takes to be responsive and efficient.
Mhm.
How do we do it? For example, when the gasoline shortage came, the legislature was responsive by bringing barrage of communications on the floor to cite those that are supposed to be cited to
Mhm.
tell us what is happening. And a committee was established to investigate, and report was made.
Mhm.
That's responsiveness. Whether we're efficient in dealing with it, the outcome of the investigation is another thing. I saw the president dismiss some people from FPRC, and but the situation still remains. Like when this whole virus business came, I
Mhm.
was there when we cited the Director General of the National Institute
Of
for
public health.
Public Health
Mhm.
and the Minister of Health. They appear. That was responsiveness on behalf of the legislature.
Mhm.
But whether we are efficient in dealing with it, I don't know, because I'm still hearing that we do not have much PPEs, we do
Mhm.
not have ventilators, we don't have much. God forbid, we have more than 10 senior government officials that are currently either positive or being tested. And so if even four of them were to need ventilators, I'm sorry, it would just be calamitous. And so efficiency has become problem because apparently it's tied to resource availability also. But the willingness is there for us to be responsive. That's where we were fighting. You can't have sensitive issue the gasoline finishing or tuition being hiked by any other person in the country, transportation just being hiked by people, and you bring communication on the floor, and that the legislature can work on this thing and call the relevant agency to ask, answer question as to why these things are happening, and the presiding officer say, no, this is not coming on the floor. Or you have the entire city littered with debt and filth, and and communication come and you sit down on it. These are the issues. And that's why we have been fighting to make sure that the legislature is not stifled by the inability of the presiding officer to put these concerns on the floor. Because if you do so, then one of the tenets of good governance is just being stifled. Because responsiveness can only come about by the robustness of the legislature in addressing contemporary issues like those issues that we're talking about. And then, of course, efficiency comes in terms of doing things right. Efficiency is doing things right, and effectiveness is doing the right thing. So we have to be both effective and efficient. and doing things right. In the case of health now, we have been caught again with our pens down. In 2014, when Ebola came and exposed us, it's unfortunate that we have not learned. Uh, One of the biggest hospitals in the country is the Japanese PIDO hospital. To see that up to this time, they haven't been in a holding center and a testing facility, good number of ventilators in case of anything. I mean, look at Sanacole, PB, and all of those major things. It's worrisome. Again, our efficiency and effectiveness, responsiveness are defined by the individual resources. So again, bulk of it falls on political will. If a political will is there, we know how to define our national priorities in this issue. That's why the legislature did not hold back. They approved of the SOE right away. And it's unfortunate that up to this time, most of the things that were said will be done are not being done because we have not received
And Honorable
the breakdown
Younquoi,
of the budget.
Honorable
Of the budget.
Younquoi, you just acknowledged that efficiency is a problem. And as the chairperson on Google Governance, you understand that efficiency is one of the characteristics of good governance, and your committee role is to make sure that it's achieved at the level of the national legislature so that it can spread to the
Mm.
entire country or government. So my question is, you are aware the lack thereof of efficiency. How are you handling this thing at the level of the first branch of government, especially with the speaker? The government to be efficient, it start with the first branch of government. And you know that if you are not efficient, efficiency will not be seen anywhere because you must be the one to set the example.
Well, I we that's why we didn't want to be quiet so that people won't say, but you knew things were not going the right way. What did you do? That's why we wanted to be heard. That's how come we went and established the Independent Legislative Caucus. So I can tell you for a fact that though we might not have achieved everything, but we were able to achieve that issue of the loosening up of the flow so that everybody's view can be heard. And again, it's understandable if the speaker comes from the ruling party. Obviously, if in America, for example, if we had a speaker coming from the Republican Party, you won't see some of the standoff that we have been experiencing over the years.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So if fortunately for our government, we have similar situation. I mean, we have a situation where the speaker comes from that party. Obviously, they have to maintain the political feature of the ruling party, and that has been the case. But again, we're very happy that at a certain point in time, people from within that arrangement or people who are close to the status quo and made some intervention to make sure that there is a loosening up or else it will reverberate. Because if you suppress people for some time, it will lead to reverberation, and of course that is not good because the intention of us allowing ourselves to be elected by our people was not come at that level of national leadership to start fighting for things that will come normally. But otherwise, you are right. The speaker has the right to protect the leadership of the country, but again, it should not be done at the detriment of the role of the legislature. So we are getting there, getting there,
We
getting
are
there.
getting there and we are all hoping that you will get there because we have been waiting since 1847. We are not there yet when it comes to good governance. And you know that, Honorable. Let me bring my caller in, Kesali. Kezo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. C, and good afternoon, Honorable Younquoi.
Yes, sir. How are you,
Thanks for taking
Kezo?
your time to come on the show. Yeah, I'm doing good. You are one of those lawmakers that I admire, though in my mind you are not doing enough. Uh, this is the modern world we've lived in, and politicking right now is something that the people want to see visible. most of the job you are doing, I think it has been done behind the door. That is mostly in section where we, the people, really don't see you. So only some of us who really follow the politicking can relate to these things. Most of the people who are not following, who are on the social media, I think don't really see your activities because it has been done only behind the screen. Though you are working, but it's not brought to light. Is there any way you can change your system of politics, and that is to do more publicity so that people can know your actual work you are doing? In that way, you will be pressured to do better. That's one. And two, I've noticed that in the House of Representatives, you have more opposition. Member of the independent community, you people are more. And I see most of people complaining on the speaker. Every time you people are complaining on the speaker, he's not doing the right thing. But yet, you guys are not doing anything to get him out. What's the problem? What are you guys planning on that? I don't know. What's the way forward for that? And then maybe I can come in later and ask a little bit of question after these are answered. I don't want to be on the line forever. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Oromo, you can take those two.
Well, thank you very much, Kezo. On what can I do to make my work visible, whether there is a possibility for me to make it, so you can rest assured. We intend to change the strategy a little bit. The only thing is we will not be as erratic as other will want us to be, but we're going to make sure we do not work behind the scene. We're going to make sure. I think that is taking a good, a better part of our stewardship away about us working only in session and working in committee rooms. I think it's not time for us to let the public know about disagreement to issues and take action. So I don't know what else, but we're doing. We've been trying a little bit. When we took the Wakran Code to one of the genocide centers and officially signed it there and declared the proposition, I thought we were openly working. And when we established the the independent caucus to go against the arbitrariness of what we were seeing on the floor, we thought we were doing something openly. But I think, you being a serious follower of the Liberian politics, I think your concern is being considered. We intend to step up our plate a little bit. Concerning why I say despite the fact that the opposition community is substantially large in the House, we haven't been able to get rid of the speaker and the rest of it. My brother, Liberia political system is shrouded with timidity. Most of the people, despite the fact that they don't come from the ruling party, they are not also necessarily the members of the opposition. I think they only qualify to be part of the opposition because they are not part of the ruling party. As the only qualification that they have. Otherwise than that, most of them are very timid. They will sit down in their corners and ill discuss or express their anger at what is happening. But when it comes to taking the appropriate action, they will shy away. So these are the issues. So basically, that's why it is. That's why it's going to require a lot of political maturity. Next time, when people are talking about putting people in the legislature, these are the qualities they should be looking for. Or if you have just ordinary people who come because their people love them or they are playing certain key role, that's why they were sent here, not looking at the requirement of the office to use as the basis for electing people. Obviously, you don't expect anything much of them. And so these are the frustrating aspects of our stewardship. And it's good that you guys are bringing it out. And we're going to use it now to see how best. But that's a killing tax to get people who have the power in their hand and they're not using it, but we're complaining. That's frustrating. But that's basically why it is. Most people are not seeing the need to stand up for what they believe in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Most people are not standing for what they believe in. even though they hold tenure position, being guaranteed by their people,
Exactly.
they've been
Mhm.
cowered by the legislature
Initially,
that does not have
oh,
the power to even fire them. That is extremely disappointing. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony Shea, and this is our midweek edition of the show. And we are having the Honorable Larry P. Younquoi. He represents District Number 8 in Nimba County, and he also represents our country, Liberia. We are discussing good governance and the role of the national legislature. He represents, he chairs the House's Committee on Good Governance, and he's the right person to talk to when it comes to good governance. Another characteristics of good governance, Honorable, is it must be inclusive, it must be equitable. What comes to my mind as a layman, everybody must be involved. Take, for example, if the budget were being debated, you,
mhm,
as a man for good governance, do you call in
mhm.
experts? Do you share the budget with civil society organizations? Do you demand that they have copies? Do you demand that they come and give their expert opinion so as to inform your decision making, thereby making it inclusive? Do you do that? Or if you are not doing that, why?
Well, the budget process is such that it is the Committee on Ways, Means, Finance, and Development Planning that handles the budget process. What we've seen is that there have been a number of public hearings that are open to the public, where land ministries will come to defend. First of all, the revenue generating agencies will come and defend their forecast so that their, 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 their revenue sources are not understated. We'll want to make sure whether what they say they will generate is actually their strength. But when they understate, then they get more in their coffers on their own. If they overstate, then they will fall short in making sure what's supposed to come to the coffers is there. So that phase of the work is always normally also characterized by open public hearing to which civil society and other interested parties are invited. And then after that, then you have the expenditure aspect when each of the land ministries and agencies will come to defend their budget as to why do they want X amount of dollars. As far as inclusiveness is concerned, again, I'm not seeing any limitation as to, except in special cases where for some reason it's done outside of the glare of the public. Bulk of the hearings are done in the public. I'm not seeing it as the responsibility of the governance committee to be the one to tell the people to do it because it's already part of our modus operandi.
Okay.
They must conduct the budget hearing openly, and I have not heard anything on the contrary. Again, I'm not saying here that the process is without problem. No, we've had problem with the budget process. Level number one, the legislature should take cease of the budget. Having received the indicative budget from the executive, or we should really do the actual budget in line with Chapter 5, Article 34 of the Constitution. And really split it apart. The budget should be dead on arrival, and we should put light in it as a legislature because we have the appropriation power. But unfortunately for us, if I as legislator want anything to be done in my political subdivision, I had to go to the finance minister to please beg them to put it in there before it could come to us when it should not be when it should be the other way around. And so I'm not saying that the process is clean or given what we have already. There have been steps taken to make sure that it is inclusive and of course participatory and equitable because it's open to public and then most times they come and ask their questions even though sometimes they don't allow them to ask open questions or if they have questions they write it and give it to the committee members It's normally read, and of course the press has been very, very vibrant in analyzing some of the things that are said in the budget hearing. But is it perfect? No. We still got a lot of things that are yet to be done as far as the budgeting of the country is concerned. There are a lot of money that we allocate around here in the agencies.
All right, you are on mute. Remove yourself. Okay, good.
For example, we used to have a situation where you have a special allowance, then you have a general allowance. Uh, the general allowance is left to be used by the head of agency. Now that we have collapsed everything into one salary, I mean a budget line, one person your remuneration is one. Whether special or general, your salary there, got your special allowance, your whatever, all inside. That has taken away some of the excesses that we had. But we still got a lot of things. Even when you look at the budget of the speaker, the budget of the president, vice president, to me, there are a lot of areas that are very repetitive. You understand? If a
Right.
country like you with very small budget, you got money there for operation, then you get money there for special this and that. To me, I think we need to cut some of these things down and have one line there speaking to it. But again, room was not big in one day. Now that we are getting rid of the special and general allowance, maybe the next time around, especially with the presence of the IMF, which is helping with our fiscal discipline and the rest of it, I'm sure we'll get there one of these days. But it's still a work in progress. We're not
Stay
there.
stay a work in progress. I'm hoping that one day we will get that. Maybe not in our lifetime, but let's just hope in the lifetime of our great grandchildren. Honorable, we have come to the end of the broadcast. We can't thank you enough for honoring our invitation. Our caller asks you to get out there more. If they're not giving you chance to talk in the chambers, the journalists are always outside there. We want to hear you. Anything you smell that you think is not good for the country, let hear it. Maybe if the leadership of the House is aware that though they're not giving you chance to speak on the floor, you have the Liberian people's ear because they will face the Liberian people, they might try to listen to you. That said, what you wanted to touch on that we didn't touch on? Let's conclude.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's not a debate, but we've tried on some occasions to make our views known. Like, for
Hmm.
example, when the printing of new money came about,
Right.
we said we were in favor of printing new families of banknotes
Hmm.
and not the same type of banknote. Because to print the same type of banknote that we currently have or additional banknote will give room for, uh, especially in the wake of the uncertainties that were hanging over the 16 billion. Most people say felt that that money was kept somewhere, and we are just print additional money. They would just take that money and infuse it into the market and take the printing cost, to themselves and the rest of it. So I think we were very categorical about it. We did some podcasts on it, and so it is with so many other things. But again, it's good. It's a learning curve. We have learned, especially when the law came recently at the level of the Senate within less than 10 months, the impact he had made by publicizing his activity. I think the Liberian people are beginning to admire it, and so that has left some of us who are doing similar work but not giving much publicity to it to know that there's a need. So I think we'll take cue from the light that the law is trying to shine at the level of the upper house to make sure that those of us who think in similar fashion can do likewise at the lower house.
And
I
and
think
and
that's a very
and
good
this
situation
just
that
came
we.
to mind. You want to share your position on this cabinet Jana issue that went down? It's another issue about the rule of law. What's your stand?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying that
Mm,
apparently we have not really made our position known on these issues.
mhm,
Cabinet Jana happens to come from my country. As a
mhm.
matter of fact, my classmates, we all graduated from the university together
Oh wow.
while they were going to law school, some on our way, yeah, some on our way. in the diaspora to do our graduate studies, and then we have been living as brothers and sisters. But whatever the case is, we were able to lead the nine-man delegation of NIMBA to walk out when the vote was taken on his impeachment.
Mhm.
We were kicking against the process. Like I told you, uh, the legislature is given a right to come up with the rules and procedure for carrying on impeachment. We don't have it yet. Then the House of Representatives is supposed to raise the bill of impeachment. And you can't raise the bill of impeachment when we don't have the rules and procedure for carrying on impeachment, which will be done by the Senate. We don't have it yet clear. So when that vote was about to be taken, we told the Speaker that, look, we of Nema County, not without being sectionalistic, we believe that if the process is allowed to go on the way it is going, it's not going to go in the interest of what we believe in. And he said, well, I will respect. We say, if you take a vote on this impeachment bill without us passing on the laws that we're supposed to pass on and pass it to the Senate to approve so it can become the property of the legislature as enshrined in the Constitution, it was going to be wrong. And he said, well, I would believe your view. I mean, we said, if you took decision on the bill of impeachment without the law being passed, we walk out. He said, I will respect your view. And when that bill was passed, we walk out. So it was a visible way of going against what was happening. But again, we didn't publicize it beyond that point. And so people feel that we are being, but again, when they during the procedure, we were able to know what went on. It was not really good to our taste, but again, it was a legislative process. The Chief Justice said that he cannot stop the legislature from carrying on its duty. And so it went the way it did. And the rest is history today.
And
And
and and
yeah.
finally, if I may, let me squeeze that one in. We also did not hear from you on this leak audio from Mumba Model talking, classifying it later on as liquor talk. And there are some people who hold the view that the confession or revelations that he made in that, some of them, amount to impeachable offenses. Do you care to comment? What's your take?
Yes. Again, communications came on the floor.
Hmm.
Uh, for Molova Molu to be invited,
Hmm.
but again, the speaker stepped on it. Yes, so the number of times that the speaker has stepped on public interest communications, if we were to go by it, the space will be chaotic every day. Seriously. Yeah, these are areas that if they happen in advanced societies such as we have,
Hmm.
you see a lot of public hearings going around. But sure, these are areas because you can have a country run in that way. You in responsible position, you'll be able to be called to clarify on what did you intend to say.
Right,
And if there veracity in what you say, then it leads to certain action.
right,
But I'm still saying there are more than 15 things that will be done by the Constitution. The Constitution says the legislature should do. We should pass laws on so many things, and we haven't done it. And because of everyday recurrent issue we have not been able to do, the real reason why the independent legislature was terrorist. I have researched the Constitution. I have set aside those things that we need to do. For example, like I said today, if the president is is in coma, do you tell him that he is incapacitated? You should replace him. We haven't come up with a law. The Constitution only says that the president can be replaced by a vice president when that person is incapacitated. But how do you define incapacitation? We haven't done it yet. There are so many things that the impeachment situation. We don't have a law. So as a result, the senators came up with a whole lot of law by amending and existing part of their own rules. And these are areas that even if the guy that was impeached is to push that our MP will pass a rule,
mhm,
nobody can point to any impeachment law in Liberia. So it is with so many things that the legislature is supposed to be looking to make the constitution simpler. The constitution is limited because it's turned bulk of the issue over to the legislature. But we haven't paid attention to it yet because there are always recurrent situations about money, about governance and things, and then we forget about what we need to do to make the governance simple. So we are still in a very deep learning curve. And I hope we will reach to a point where we have more technocrats at that level of that branch of government so that they can do for the Liberian people what needs to be done. So you are right. There are a lot of things that are happening which we are not being able to do. Because once the speaker who has the right to allow things to come on the floor decides not to have it come on the floor, two things. Either you cause chaos and make it rowdy, make noise and things like that to draw people's attention to make it to come to their senses, or I mean you just avoid it. And that's what happened. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Larry P. Younquoi, again for honoring our invitation. Certainly, we will not hesitate to reach out to you, especially now that you have made a commitment that you will try to speak a little louder and often so that people can know
Yeah.
the things that you are involved with. Because, hey, if we don't hear you, we don't know it. The only way we'll know it is that we hear from you. So
Yes, sir.
myself will encourage you to do that because you are the direct representative of the people. And the only way the people will know that you represent them is not by you driving that car. It's by you speaking for them, especially those things that affect them. On that note, we want to say thank you for honoring our invitation. Here, I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia, and that is the only business we do by asking you, those who govern us, the tough questions, and then your role is to answer those questions so we can know where we are, where we're falling short, what we need to correct, so that we can have a functioning society. We want to say thank you and thank you enough.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, folks in cyberspace, this is how we will come to the end of our broadcast here. Focus on Liberia. As we always do here, we have a closing song, and we want to announce to you this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be having another Wednesday special at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it. That one, I promise you, will be politically juicier and hotter. Honorable, thank you, folks in cyberspace. Coronavirus is still real,
Thank you.
and we, the Focus on Liberia family, want to tell you that keep safe out there. Observe all the protocols being put into place by the health authorities and our civil authority. That's how you play it safe so that we can all get to the finish line. We want to say thank you all and bye bye.
We are la viva. La viva.